It was a chilly February afternoon in Delphi, Indiana. The date was February 13th, 2017, an otherwise ordinary Monday. Two best friends, 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Libby German, had the day off school. They decided to spend their free time exploring the Monon High Bridge Trail, a popular hiking spot just outside town. The bridge itself, long abandoned and weathered by time, stood high above Deer Creek. Its wooden planks creaked with every step. It was hauntingly beautiful, silent, still, and surrounded by forest. Libby and Abby laughed and posed for photos. Libby posted a Snapchat of Abby walking along the bridge at 2:07 p.m., the last known image of her alive. No one knew they were walking straight into a nightmare. Disappeared without a sound. By late afternoon, the girls hadn't returned. Their families began to worry. They knew something was wrong. At 5:30 p.m., they were reported missing. Volunteers and police scoured the trails, calling their names into the fading light. But night fell, and still no sign of Libby or Abby. The next day, February 14, the search resumed. Then, just after noon, 2 bodies were found near Deer Creek, a discovery that shook the town to its core. Though it wasn't officially confirmed until later, everyone knew. Abby and Libby were gone. Delphi was a small town, just under 3,000 people, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone. News of the girls' deaths spread like wildfire. Candlelight vigils lit up the streets. Yellow ribbons were tied to trees and signs. This wasn't supposed to happen here. The girls had no enemies. They were kind, smart, and full of life. Who would want to hurt them, and why? Rumors swirled. Fear crept into daily life. Parents kept their children indoors. Police warned of a potential killer still out there. But it wouldn't take long for a clue to emerge, one that would turn this case into a nationwide obsession. The audio clip. Libby German was a hero in her final moments. Somehow, during the attack, she had the presence of mind to start recording on her phone. From that video, investigators released a haunting audio clip, just 3 chilling words: "Down the hill." A male voice, calm, commanding. They also released a still image from the video, a grainy photo of a man in jeans, a navy jacket, and a cap, walking toward the girls on the bridge. He was quickly dubbed Bridge Guy. The photo, the voice, it was all they had, but it wasn't enough. In July 2017, police released a sketch of the suspect, a white male, mid-40s to early 50s, with a goatee and a cap. Tips poured in, over 26,000 within the first year. People across the country analyzed the photo and audio. True crime forums exploded with theories, but nothing stuck. No arrests, no answers, and then silence. The case grew cold. But in Delphi, the memory of Libby and Abby never faded. Their families continued to push for justice. They refused to let the world forget. A new sketch, a new direction. In April 2019, over 2 years after the murders, Indiana State Police shocked everyone. They released a new suspect sketch. This time, the man appeared younger, mid-20s to 30s, clean-shaven, sharp jawline, hoodie. Completely different from the first sketch. Why the change? Investigators revealed they now believed the killer was much younger than originally thought, and that he might be hiding in plain sight, living among them in Delphi. This wasn't just a stranger passing through. He was someone locals might recognize. Someone who had studied the trails. Someone who knew the Monon Bridge all too well. The warning was clear. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. The families speak. Libby's grandparents, Mike and Becky Patty, and Abby's mom, Anna Williams, became the public faces of the case. They appeared in interviews, press conferences, community events, always pushing, always hoping. They spoke about their daughters with love and grief, but also with strength. They refused to give up. They believed the answers were out there. that someone knew something. And they begged, again and again, for the killer to come forward. But the silence was louder than ever. Clues in the shadows. For years, investigators were tight-lipped, but bits of information trickled out. We learned that Libby had recorded more than just a voice. The full video on her phone showed the man walking, his gait, the way he moved, awkward, slightly stiff. Rumors swirled that there was more audio, possibly a struggle, even screams, but the police never confirmed it. Why? Because they were building a case, slowly, quietly, piece by piece. And then came an unexpected break. The search for DNA. One of the biggest questions in the case, did the killer leave behind DNA? For years, law enforcement refused to say, but in private, sources hinted there was some forensic evidence. In 2021, advanced genealogy testing had solved dozens of cold cases. Delphi supporters wondered, could this case be next? Families and true crime followers hoped DNA might finally close the net. But there was still no arrest, no trial, just theories and whispers. Delphi carried its grief like a scar. The girls' names were etched into benches, murals, memorials. The high bridge became sacred ground, a place of mourning and remembrance. The killer had stolen more than 2 young lives. He had stolen Delphi's innocence. And for 5 long years, that shadow lingered. But in 2022, everything would change. October 28, 2022. 5 years and 8 months after Libby and Abby were murdered, Indiana State Police made an announcement that shook the nation. A man had been arrested.
Was Richard Allen, a 50-year-old Delphi resident, a CVS pharmacy technician.
A quiet man. A face so ordinary, it was chilling. He had lived in Delphi the entire time, just 1.4 miles from where the girls were killed. He'd processed photos for families, smiled at customers, blended into daily life, all the while hiding the darkest secret imaginable.
Who is Richard Allen? Neighbors described him as quiet, polite, a normal guy. But others remembered strange behavior.
Allen had walked the Monon High Bridge Trail before. He was familiar with the area. In fact, he had even offered help to police during the early stages of the investigation. He told them he was on the trails the day the girls were killed, but they didn't follow up. Until now.
A search of his home revealed a dark jacket, boots matching the prints at the scene, and most chilling, a gun.
Investigators tested Allen's firearm, a .40 caliber pistol. They didn't find bullets at the crime scene, but they did find an unspent round. That single round had unique markings that could only have come from Allen's gun. It was the break they'd been waiting for.
Ballistics doesn't lie. It speaks for the dead. And now, Libby and Abby were speaking.
When the probable cause affidavit was finally unsealed, it painted a haunting picture. Witnesses described seeing a man matching Allen's description near the bridge. Some even saw him walking alone, muddy, bloodied, looking disoriented.
Allen had admitted he was there, but claimed he left before the murders. Yet cell phone data, eyewitness accounts, and that bullet told a different story.
A story of a man who stalked 2 young girls in the woods, who watched, waited, and when the time came, struck without mercy.
The question of motive. But why? Why would a seemingly ordinary man do something so monstrous? So far, there's been no clear answer.
Some speculate Allen had hidden darkness for years. Others whisper about obsession, rage, or mental illness. And then there are those who believe he didn't act alone, because what happened to Libby and Abby felt too planned, too brutal, too fast. As the community held its breath, one terrifying thought echoed louder than ever. What if there's more than one killer?
A chilling confession, or a setup.
During questioning, Richard Allen didn't confess. But what he did say raised eyebrows.
I don't remember killing them, but I'm not saying I didn't.
Was it guilt breaking through the cracks, or a man cornered trying to save himself? Either way, the illusion of innocence had shattered. After his arrest, Allen was moved to a state prison for his safety. But behind bars, something began to change. He stopped eating, lost weight rapidly, grew pale, thin. He scribbled incoherent notes, spoke to unseen figures. His legal team claimed he was deteriorating, both mentally and physically. Photos showed a man broken, hollow-eyed, a shell of the person who once walked freely among children and families in Delphi. Was it guilt, manipulation, or the crushing weight of truth finally cracking his mind? And then, a twist no one saw coming. In 2023, Allen's attorneys dropped a bombshell. They claimed the real killers were part of a pagan cult, practicing Odinism. They said the scene of the crime had strange symbols, ritualistic signs, staging, branches arranged in odd shapes, hairs missing from the girls' heads. They argued it was a ceremonial killing, not a random act. They pointed to possible suspects, other men, other names, and most shockingly, they claimed Allen was being framed. The courtroom gasped. The public reeled. Could it be true, or a desperate defense tactic? Public reaction. For the town of Delphi, the Odinism claim felt like a slap in the face. Some thought it was a circus, a distraction. Others weren't so sure. The internet exploded. True crime forums reignited. Some users pored over photos, trying to find pagan signs. Some even claimed they saw carvings on trees that resembled runes. But investigators remained firm. There is no credible evidence linking the murders to any cult. Still, doubt had been planted, and in a case so haunted by silence, even a whisper can feel like a scream. As of now, Richard Allen's trial is still pending. His legal team wants the case thrown out, citing mishandled evidence, unfair conditions, and the Odinism theory. The prosecution insists they have the right man. The girls' families, they just want truth, closure, justice. Every delay is agony. Every motion, a reminder that their daughters are gone. But their hope hasn't died, because Libby and Abby left something behind. A voice, a video, and a world unwilling to forget them. But beneath it, evil. Libby gave the world a gift, a clue. It was blurry, it was short, but it was enough to ignite a firestorm of investigation. She turned her final breath into a message, a whisper from beyond that still echoes through Indiana. Abigail Williams was quieter, softer. She loved art, nature, her family, and she loved Libby like a sister. Abby wasn't holding a phone. She didn't record the killer. But her life mattered just as much. She smiled in every photo, she brought calm to chaos, and her presence on that trail made Libby feel safe enough to go exploring that day. In many ways, Abby was the reason they were there, but she was also the reason Libby wasn't alone. Even in death, they were together. 6 years, that's how long the families waited. 6 birthdays missed, 6 Christmas mornings filled with tears, 6 years of seeing their daughters' names in headlines without resolution. Imagine living in a town where everyone knows the case, but no one knows the answers. Some locals were suspicious of each other, some grew paranoid. The bridge became a place of mourning, of fear, and every whisper felt like a clue. The internet detectives. When the police went silent, the internet went loud. Thousands of amateur sleuths, Reddit detectives, and YouTube creators picked up the pieces. They analyzed photos, compared voices, studied the gait of the suspect's walk. Names were tossed around recklessly, lives were ruined. But some leads helped keep the case alive. Citizen journalism became the heartbeat of the Delphi investigation, and Libby's video became a symbol, not just of tragedy, but of resistance. She didn't go quietly. She recorded her monster. What if he's not alone? One theory still haunts this case. What if Richard Allen didn't act alone? Some believe the crime was too complex, too quick, Could one man really control two teenage girls on a narrow bridge in broad daylight? Others point to the positioning of the bodies, the crime scene staging, the strange details kept from the public. Could someone have helped him escape? Was there a lookout? Was Delphi not just the site of a murder, but the cover-up of something even darker? Then 2021, investigators made a shocking move. They raided the home of Keegan Anthony Klein, a man already under investigation for child exploitation. But what made this raid different was the link to Delphi. Klein had been using a fake online persona, Anthony Schatz, posing as a rich, handsome model to talk to underage girls, including Libby German. Phone records showed he had communicated with Libby just days before the murders. Was he catfishing her? Luring her in? Was this a trap? Suddenly, the theory of a digital predator entered the picture. And it wasn't just horrifying, it was personal. As the investigation into Klein ramped up, transcripts of his police interviews were leaked, and they were chilling. Klein claimed his father might have had access to the fake account. He denied being in Delphi on the day of the murders, but the timeline, the lies, the contradictions, they painted a murky picture. He said the police told him, "We know you were communicating with Libby. We know this account was involved." But if Klein wasn't the killer, did he hand her over to someone who was? October 2022, nearly 6 years after the murders, the town of Delphi held its breath as police announced the arrest of Richard M. Allen, a 50-year-old CVS employee from Delphi. He lived just 5 minutes from the Monenhigh Bridge. He had been there that day. He even admitted to police years earlier that he was on the trail, but somehow he was overlooked. The charging documents described the clothes he wore, matching the blurry image from Libby's phone. A bullet found near the girls' bodies was linked to Allen's gun. Finally, it seemed there was progress, but the case was far from over. Libby and Abby fought to be heard, and their voices, through that haunting phone clip, will never be silenced again. A promise we must keep. This isn't just a true crime story. It's not just another case. It's a call to action. A reminder that evil can wear an ordinary face, that monsters don't live under beds, they walk on bridges in broad daylight. So today, we remember Libby German and Abigail Williams. We honor their bravery, and we echo the promise that has carried their story for years. Today is the day we get justice, support their families, demand the truth, keep sharing their story. Let your voice be heard in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you believe in uncovering the truth.